Hey guys, welcome back. So I was just driving home and passed this on the side of the road. I was gonna drive by it. I didn't exactly like what I saw, but I think this could make a good video. This is a Yard Machines chipper, and it's powered by a Tecumseh engine. And I guess the thing that kind of turned me off to this initially was that it's missing a few things. The recoil is missing. This piece here was detached, and I didn't realize it went here at the time, but I just saw there was a hole here, so I'm like, yeah, we're missing a plate. We are missing bolts. Another bolt here. We've got some rust, a crack. So I'm really not quite sure. Initially, I was thinking I would just take the engine off, rebuild the carb, sell the engine. The chipper shredder part of it, I don't think is quite done. Aside from that crack, which, isn't something that I would try to fix, I think the rest of it I can get going. So, I guess before I do that, I'm going to get a rope on here and turn the engine over, see if it'll start. All right, I did put some gas in the tank, and I'm gonna wrap just a pull start cord on it. And give it a little squirt. Okay, well, we got spark, we got compression, we got timing. We don't have fuel. So I think we know what's next. We got to get that carb off. Okay, I'll just start by getting this air box off. A little bit surprised just to see regular screws. Hopefully those don't give me too much trouble. That line is absolutely petrified. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm gonna try squeezing it, but this might end badly. I'm just gonna cut this line. It's petrified anyway, and it's pretty glued on here, so the line has to be replaced anyway. Yeah, that's the good stuff in there. Not looking too good. The needle is actually broken or something. It's not moving when the float moves. And it is pretty nasty in here. I mean, this should clean up, I think, but let me see if I can get the emulsion tube out and the needle out. Interesting. This is from a lawnmower, virtually identical. I think the biggest difference is that the breather on the wood chipper is pointing to the left, whereas on the lawnmower it's pointing up. Now, I believe that's screwed in. Potentially I could influence it. Not sure, but won't worry about this yet until we know what's going on here. Yeah, and there's another seal that did not come out. There it is. So it's supposed to go like that. So that's pretty much everything. Sometimes there's a jet there. In this case, I see a cover, so I'm going to pick at that a bit just to see if there's a jet hidden under there. And there is. Anyway, I'm just going to run wires through all the holes, and this one definitely needs a date with the ultrasonic. Seems to be a lot of garbage here in the inlet. And by garbage, I mean maybe rust. So there is absolutely nothing to hold this needle to this float. So my best guess is water got in there and there must have been a little wire or something to hold this on. But that wire is long gone, so I'm going to have to find a different needle. Yep, seems to be working. It's gonna need a few more rounds, I think. Came out all right. It should run. Now, it's still not in great condition, but it'll run. Okay, I'm going to use the needle and float from the other carb. I'm just going to stick with the original bowl. It's slightly different in design. I don't think it matters too much, but you can see this one has this extra bump here, which will limit the float a little bit as far as how far it can go down. This is the bowl gasket from the other carb. Okay, done. Let's get this thing on and see if it'll run. Okay, so I think you missed it, but I just popped the fuel line off the tank, and I'm going to loosen these bolts now and try to get the tank out of the way. This fuel line is pretty much shot and needs to be replaced, but it kind of goes between the head and the flywheel. So in order to access it, I think I need to take this cover off, and I'm pretty sure there's some screws for this cover under the tank. There is water in the oil, and you can see it's white. And that's what happens when you run an engine with oil and water. So I did check this earlier before starting it on starter fluid, and it was not this color. So the water and oil hadn't mixed at that point, but that 30 seconds of running was enough to do that. All right, so the only thing holding us up now is this throttle linkage. And there's a few springs here you could disconnect, but I think in this case, I'm just gonna remove these 1/4-inch bolts and kind of get this whole assembly out of the way. Just set it down right here, and then I should be able to pull the cover right off. Okay, well, this isn't quite going as planned. The fuel line is still inaccessible, and I can't even see it. So it's somewhere kind of behind the flywheel, maybe behind this plate. So the only way I could really get to it is pull the magneto, pull the flywheel, pull this back tin, and that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I think I'm going about this the wrong way. I mean, I'm still glad I pulled off the tins because it needs to be cleaned out a little bit. But I'm gonna get some pliers on here and just start pulling and see if we can't free it up. Okay, well, be interesting to see if I can get another one in there. So this is a new piece of 1/4" fuel line. It's actually a Briggs & Stratton, and it's a slightly smaller diameter than what I pulled out. So I'm hoping that this will go in. Nope. Okay, nice. That wasn't too bad. Got the dipstick support. Well, it's been a while since I've seen a milkshake in an engine, but you know, there's still, I'm sure, some water in there, so I am gonna put some new oil in there and run it for a bit, but I'll have to change it again at least a couple more times. Okay, all back together, more or less. I want to get this thing outside, throw some gas in it, and see what it can do. That thing's loud, but it's running well now, so no problem. Started first pull, runs at high speed and low speed. So I'm gonna place an order, get the recoil, and make a trip to the hardware store and get the rest of the bits I need to put this thing completely together. Okay, the order's been placed for the recoil. It was only like $17 from Amazon. It'll be here in a few days. But in the meantime, made a trip to the hardware store and picked up some much needed hardware. So I'm gonna spend a minute just tighten this down. There's 3 bolts and also 2 right there. Okay, the recoil showed up. I'm gonna throw that on. And I also picked up some bolts because those are missing too. But only one of them is going in easily. The other 3 are not. They're pretty crusty, so I'm gonna take a minute, just clean out the threads and finish this thing up. Beautiful. Okay, ready to put this thing through its paces. Got a big pile of brush, and yeah, that's not going through that machine. Got a professional doing that, but all this little stuff here, it should be able to handle without issue. So you can see it does a good job chipping up at least the small stuff. It's really good at leaves and small branches, but this is probably about the 5th bag so far. I'd say I got about 2 or 3 more bags left. Anyway, not too bad. I mean, this thing was in the junk pile. It definitely needed a few things dealt with on it, but it's not done as a chipper. It still works well. Anyway, I do need to get that oil changed again. There is still a little bit of water in there from, the first time, but, overall, I'd say we're in pretty good shape. Hope this video helps someone. Thanks for watching.